Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Yeah.
And this time we're going to be looking into The God of the Woods by Liz Moore.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
You might know her from her New York Times bestseller, Long Bright River. But if you haven't read that, that's fine. You can still enjoy The God of the Woods. So this book is very atmospheric. It's a very immersive story.
Yeah.
And so we're going to unpack that and see what we can find.
Yeah. Sounds great.
All right. So this book takes place in a remote and very exclusive summer camp. And it's tucked away in the woods.
All right.
And you kind of get the sense right away.
And able to explore and kind of find themselves.
Yeah, they're away from their parents. They're away from,
right, exactly.
you know, all the rules of regular society.
Yeah, exactly.
And you see these kids kind of bumping up against those boundaries a lot.
Yeah. But at the same time, the woods are also very isolated.
Right.
They're very dark.
Yeah.
There are all these local legends and stories about things that have happened there. So there's definitely a sense of danger.
Yeah, so they can't just completely let loose.
No, definitely no.
Because there are all these unknowns lurking.
Right, exactly.
So there's that kind of tension between wanting to be free and being afraid of what's out there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people can relate to that, even if it's not in a literal forest.
No, absolutely.
So you've got this pressure cooker environment, and then boom, a teenager vanishes.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, it throws everything into chaos.
And we're immediately launched into this mystery.
Yeah.
And it's not just a straightforward whodunit.
No, it's not.
It's like Moore is really good at building suspense.
Absolutely.
And not giving us easy answers. So when you were reading, who did you suspect?
Gosh, I mean, at different points, I suspected practically everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You have the campers, of course.
Yeah.
You have the counselors. You have people from the town.
Yeah, people who maybe aren't even officially affiliated with the camp.
Yeah, exactly.
But you have all these different threads coming together.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the local legends.
Oh, yeah.
So she's weaving in all these different elements.
Absolutely.
You know, from family secrets to folklore to, you know, the history of the camp itself.
Right.
To create this really intricate and layered mystery.
Yeah. And I think the title itself, The God of the Woods, you know, it kind of plays into that.
Right.
It makes you wonder.
It really does.
Is there something supernatural going on here? Or is it just, you know, human evil?
So is there a literal God of the woods?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Moore does a really good job of blurring the lines between folklore and real danger.
So do we ever get a definitive answer?
Not really.
Okay.
And I think that's part of what makes the book so effective.
Yeah.
Because it leaves you wondering.
Right.
Even after you finish reading.
So she wants us to think for ourselves.
Absolutely.
So we've got the mystery.
Yeah.
We've got the woods.
Right.
But what about the characters?
Oh, yeah, the characters.
Especially the young characters, because there's a big coming-of-age element to this story.
Yeah, I mean, you have these kids.
Yeah.
Who are away from home for the first time.
Right, some of them. And they're having to deal with all these adult issues, you know, betrayal, loss, fear.
Yeah, and the pressure just to fit in.
And to live up to expectations.
Exactly, yeah.
And all this against the backdrop of this disappearance.
Yeah, it's like the disappearance acts as a catalyst.
Okay.
Forcing them to grow up much faster than they probably would have otherwise.
So how do you think Moore handles this coming-of-age aspect?
Oh, I think she does a fantastic job.
Okay.
She doesn't shy away from the darkness and the complexity of what these kids are going through.
Right.
And she does it in a way that's really sensitive and insightful.
Okay, so she's not talking down to these characters.
No, not at all.
She's really trying to get inside their heads and show us what it's like to be in their shoes. Which is important.
Yeah, I mean, especially given what's happening.
Right, because their world has been turned upside down.
Exactly.
And they're having to figure out who they are.
Yeah.
In the midst of all this chaos.
Exactly.
And then there are the woods.
Right.
Which, as we were talking about earlier, are this kind of liminal space between freedom and entrapment. So how do you see that playing out?
Well, I think it's interesting how the woods kind of mirror the internal struggles that these characters are facing.
Okay, so on the one hand, they represent this opportunity for escape, for adventure.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, they're also full of danger.
Yeah, and the unknown.
Right.
And I think that's true for the characters as much as it is for
Yeah.
The setting itself.
Yeah, so it's almost like the woods are a reflection of their own inner turmoil.
Right.
And their own uncertainty about who they are and what they're capable of.
Exactly.
So we've got this isolated community simmering with secrets.
Yeah.
We've got this disappearance that throws everything into question.
Yeah.
And we've got these young characters who are forced to confront some very adult themes. I mean, it's a pretty intense setup.
It is.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely.
So where do we go from here?
Well, I think it's interesting to look at how Moore uses the setting.
Okay.
Not just as a backdrop, but as a way to explore these larger themes of memory, perception, and the power of the past.
Power of the past. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into that next time.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, everybody. Stay tuned.
Stay with us.
We'll be back soon.
We'll be right back.
It really is like she dropped these kids into the woods.
Yeah.
And said, okay, figure it out.
Yeah, and they don't really have a choice.
Right?
But to figure it out.
David, to grow up fast.
Yeah, because the stakes are so high.
Exactly.
I mean, one of their friends is missing.
Right.
And they're all trying to cope with that. Yeah, and they're all dealing with their own stuff, too.
Yeah, like you said, everybody's got baggage.
Right, exactly.
And it all comes out in this really intense environment.
Yeah, and you really get a sense of that through Moore's writing.
Yeah, her descriptions are so vivid.
Yeah.
I felt like I was right there in the woods with them.
Yeah, me too.
Feeling the dampness, smelling the pine needles.
Yeah, remember that scene?
Oh, yeah.
Where they're searching for clues in that abandoned cabin.
Oh, my gosh, that was creepy.
It was so creepy.
Like I could practically feel the ghosts.
Yeah, and you could just feel the weight of all the secrets.
Right, like all the things that had happened there.
Yeah, and it just added this whole other layer to the mystery.
Yeah, because it made you wonder,
are
these kids just imagining things?
Yeah, or is there something really sinister going on?
And then you have those local legends, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like the story of the missing hiker.
Right. Yeah.
It makes you question everything.
Yeah, you're never quite sure what's real and what's not.
Yeah, is it just a story?
Yeah.
Or is it something more?
Exactly.
So you're always on edge.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it so effective.
Yeah, like you're trying to solve this puzzle.
Right.
But you don't have all the pieces.
And you're not even sure if the pieces you do have are the right ones.
So we've talked about the mystery, the setting.
Yeah.
But what about the characters themselves?
Oh, the characters.
Did you have any favorites?
It's hard to choose. Yeah. They're all so well developed.
Yeah, even the ones who aren't like the main focus.
Yeah, like they all have their own secrets.
Right, and their own motivations.
Yeah, you really get a sense that they're all hiding something.
Like they're all wearing masks.
Yeah, and that just makes the mystery even more compelling.
Yeah, because you're not just trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out who these people really are.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes The God of the Woods so much more than just thriller.
Right. It's like a character study.
Yeah, it's about human nature.
Yeah. And the things we do to protect ourselves.
And the secrets we keep.
And the lies we tell.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've got the mystery, the characters, the setting.
Yeah.
But what about the larger themes?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think Moore is trying to say?
Well, I think one of the big ones is the idea of privilege.
Okay.
And how it can create a sense of entitlement.
Okay. And how that can lead to bad things.
Yeah. Like you see that with the families who send their kids to this camp.
Right. They're used to getting what they want.
Exactly.
And they're not used to being told no.
And they're not used to facing consequences.
So when something goes wrong, they don't really know how to handle it.
Yeah. And they often try to cover it up.
Right, which just makes things worse.
Exactly.
So it's like a cautionary tale.
Yeah, I think so.
About the dangers of unchecked privilege.
Yeah, and I think she's also saying something about the power of the past.
Okay.
And how it can shape who we are.
So are you saying that we're all just products of our past?
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Okay.
But I think our experiences definitely influence who we become.
Right, and how we see the world.
Exactly.
And how we react to things.
And sometimes we carry those experiences with us.
Yeah.
Whether we realize it or not.
And they can come back to haunt us.
Yeah, literally.
In this case.
In this case, yeah.
So we've got privilege, we've got the past.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, I think there's also this idea of memory and perception.
Okay, how so?
Well, the book is told from multiple points of view.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier.
And you get these flashbacks to the past.
So you're getting different perspectives.
Yeah, and you're never quite sure
if you're
getting the whole story.
Okay, so it makes you question the reliability of the narrators.
Exactly.
Which is always fun.
Yeah, it keeps you guessing.
Yeah, and it makes you think about how our own memories can be flawed.
And how easily they can be manipulated.
Right, so maybe we're not seeing things as clearly as we think we are.
And maybe the truth is more complicated.
Right, than we want to believe.
Yeah.
So it's a book that really makes you think.
It does.
About a lot of different things.
It makes you question everything.
But it's not exactly a light read.
No, it's definitely not.
It's a book that you have to kind of sit with.
You have to pay attention.
Yeah, and be willing to go down some dark paths.
For sure.
It's not a book you can just like breeze through on a plane ride.
No, definitely not.
It's the kind of book that sticks with you.
Yeah.
And makes you think.
Right.
Long after you finish reading it.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about how the book can be demanding.
Yeah.
Especially with its structure.
Right.
You know, the multiple points of view, the flashbacks.
Yeah, it definitely requires the reader to pay attention.
Right, because you're jumping around in time.
Exactly.
And you're seeing the same events from different perspectives.
And sometimes those perspectives don't quite line up.
Right, which makes you wonder who's telling the truth.
Or if there even is a single truth.
And were there any parts that you found particularly challenging?
Well, I think keeping track of all the characters.
Oh, yeah.
And their relationships to each other.
Yeah, there are a lot of characters.
There are a lot.
And they're all connected in these complicated ways.
Yeah, I actually had to, like, draw a family tree at one point.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Just to keep everyone straight.
Yeah, because you've got the campers, the counselors, the families.
Right, and then people from the town.
And then people from the past.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like a whole tapestry.
Yeah, and it's all woven together.
Yeah.
Really intricately.
So you're constantly trying to piece it all together.
Yeah, figure out how everything fits.
Which I think is part of the fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it makes you feel like you're part of the investigation.
Exactly.
Like you're right there with the characters.
Yeah, trying to solve the mystery.
And speaking of investigations,
yeah,
we've talked about how the book explores memory and perception and how the past can shape the present. So were there any times when you found yourself questioning the reliability of the narrators?
All the time.
Okay, like specifically?
Well, especially in the flashbacks.
Okay.
You know, you're getting these glimpses into the past.
Right.
But you're never quite sure. If you're seeing the whole picture.
So it makes you wonder if maybe they're leaving something out.
Or if they're even remembering it correctly.
Right, because memory is a tricky thing.
It is.
It's not always reliable.
No, and it can be influenced by so many things.
Right, like our emotions, our biases.
Yeah, our experience.
Our desires.
Exactly.
So maybe what we think happened isn't actually what happened.
Or maybe it's just one version of the truth.
And I think that's something that Moore is really interested in exploring in this book.
Yeah, the idea that there are multiple truths.
And that maybe there isn't always a clear answer.
Exactly.
Which can be frustrating for some readers.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because we like to have things tied up neatly.
Right.
But I think it's also more realistic.
Absolutely.
Because life is messy.
Yeah.
And sometimes there aren't easy answers.
And sometimes the questions are more important than the answers.
I like that.
So we've talked about a lot.
Yeah, we have.
But I think the main takeaway is that The God of the Woods is a book that stays with you.
It really does.
It makes you think.
Yeah.
It makes you question. And it makes you want to talk about it.
And that's why we're here.
Exactly.
To dive deep.
And
explore all its layers.
And hopefully spark some interesting conversations
Absolutely.
along the way.
So if you haven't already, I highly recommend checking out The God of the Woods.
It's a great book.
It's a challenging book.
Yeah.
But it's a rewarding one.
Absolutely.
And we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Let us know what you think.
So join the conversation.
Yeah, we're all ears.
And until next time.
Happy reading.
Happy reading, everybody.